Wonderful Ed. You know why they call him that? Every time he finishes a new piece of work, everyone says, "That's wonderful, Ed. Wonderful Ed will get back to you. Leave a message."
Hey, this is your buddy Pat Lamb. I'm coming to Santa Fe and I want to record some of your stories. I want to shoot some of your art, learn a little bit about Wonderful Ed. Give me a call back. Thanks.
The end of our journey is down Canyon Road. Wonderful Ed's place is folk art's home. His life reads like Route 66, born in Joplin, Missouri, down in the sticks. He spent Sundays riding in his daddy's DeSoto, watching wind-powered toys put on a show, reading Burma shave signs and admiring roadside art. I think that's where he got his artist's start. 12 cents for a gallon of gas and a nickel for a movie at the Rex. He watched westerns and bandits in the wild, wild west.
See that picture way up there? The girl with the red dress? Well, that girl and those 3 kids there, those are my buddies. I'm the guy looking at her and I'm the closest one. And she lived a block and a half down from where I grew up. She'd sit on her porch and roll her skirt up like this. And she'd say, "Shall I go any higher?" And of course we weren't one to stop her. Anyway, that's one part of my life, and then I got in the Navy.
He missed the big one, WW2, but ended up in Korea for a few. He never really saw any battles, but had lots of opportunity to get back in the saddle.
I had all kinds of trouble getting through boot camp. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And it took me about twice as long as anybody else to get out of boot camp. But when I finally did, they put me on that tanker. That tanker was called a USS Kankakee, TAO-39. It was in something called MSTS, Military Sea Transportation Service. And that's us coming ashore in Palermo about 1952. I'm the third guy. It's about 4 o'clock and we're going ashore on Liberty and we have to be back at 12 o'clock, and that's us afterwards coming back in the second painting about 12 o'clock at night. There's a crowd of Italians chasing us back to the ship. There's a whole bunch of sailors laying before the gangway, and they're just totally drunk. And then there's still stuff going on, people coming back with the shore patrol and so on out here in the foreground. And that was the kind of experience that I had in the Navy over and over and over again.
So this cowboy wannabe was a sailor now. No horses in the ocean, and certainly no cows. That so-called war ended, and the ship was in port. So he hung with the jazz club Hollywood sort.
That's Broadway in San Diego. There's Broadway in San Diego again at the Seven Seas Locker and Bar. Picture up above that is Louis Armstrong, Jack Teagarden, Thelma Middleton, Cozy Cole. All these people are in San Francisco playing at the Club Hangover, and I'm sitting at the bar looking at those guys. And all you had to do is go in there and pay 75 cents for a bottle of beer, and you got to hear them. And they were right on the other side of the bar, just like that picture. It was incredible. I've got a lot of wonderful experiences like that being in the Navy, because how else was I ever going to see Louis Armstrong? But while you're doing that, then you're thinking, damn, this is a whole lot of fun, but why am I so homesick? Anyway, that was my experience of the Navy.
End of Route 66, it was pretty cool. So he stayed there and went to art school. off to an ad agency. He packed his load and ended up at the start of the Mother Road.
Well, I went to school to do this. Chicago. I worked for an outfit called Marvin Glass and Associates that made toys. And we made toys and sold them to people like Mattel and Ideal and so on. Ohio Art. And there was about 20 of us that did that. I was a designer and I designed some toys, and we made games, board games and so on. And so I learned all about how to do mechanical things from them. I mean, it's not that, it's just a little crank, that's all, really. And when the wind blows, the one-man band operates. Okay.
He spent some time getting wired, and 3 times he got fired. So after his employers had their fill, he built the Statue of Libertyville. Next were wind-powered animal toys for Windy City Bears football boys.
And the animals are all coyotes out in the woods and the black bear. And the guy can be singing, I think the title of this thing is going to be "The Bells of Hell Go Ding-a-ling-a-ling for You, but not for me." You know, these things have been made for a long, long time. And one of the groups of people that did this were people in eastern Pennsylvania, who were fundamentalists, and you weren't supposed to have kids weren't supposed to play with toys on Sunday. So they'd put these things out in the yard, and the kids could watch these things move and they supposedly that took care of their fun on Sundays.
Chicago wins, and big city sins led him to satirical political whims. Feeling the cold and about to wilt, to stay warm he made picture quilts. One even ended up in the Smithsonian Institute. Not too bad for a Joplin dude.
See this picture quilt? Mm-hmm. That's 1977. Anyway, I've done about 400 of these things. Not just like this, of course, but 400 of them, maybe more, for various quilters. And what I do is I draw a pattern of this quilt and one-to-one. So each one of these little sections is delineated on my pattern, which is pieced together brown paper. And then the quilter can come and trace that piece there and cut it out and put it in place, and then applique this fellow on top of it, and so on and so forth until he finally gets a completed quilt. I'm right here.
Great.
This is a actual picture quilt. Mm-hmm. Well, this is done by Fran Soika. Fran is a quilter. She lives in Novelty, Ohio, and I've had a relationship with her making quilts for over 25, 30 years. We've done a lot of political quilts, a lot of politics that we don't agree with. And the present administration is one we don't agree with. And to express that, we've made these quilts. But they just give you a chance to, tell a story about our president with no clothes on and so on, and according to me anyway. Anyway, that's what a picture quilt is. Okay, so that little Billy the Kid thing is really a picture quilt that I'm making out of wood. Okay, and when I get through getting all those little pieces down where I want them, and I'll do a little bit more carving on it. God damn it, how did that work? Then I'll paint each one of those little squares or rectangles, and I'll put it together until I finally got the picture worked out and I've got the color scheme the way I want it to be. Maybe the closest thing to that would be this little Indian maid by the waterfall, if it were a quilt, be made out of cloth.
He was in art shows all over town. till the Chicago art fire burned it all down. What once was art had turned to ash. He found himself strapped for cash. He decided out west is where he ought to be, so he loaded up his wagon and moved to Santa Fe. On the trail of Coronado's quest for cities of gold, decided to settle down before he gets too old. With his new wife in Ed and Bonnieville, he built a house at the bottom of the hill. He found that first can of tractor paint, bought some brushes, and away he went. His pictures are stories that tell it like it is. Funny to grown-ups, fascinating to kids. He's not a real religious man at heart, but he does know Jesus says, buy folk art.
That's in Ephesians. Not everybody reads that, but I studied the Bible for a bit. Yeah.
So our ballad wagon stopped in New Mexico, in Santa Fe, up on Canyon Road, in a studio full of dribbled paint, where wonderful Ed sits like a folk art saint. He traded in his whiskey for a cup of tea. AA helped him set his liver free.
This is for all you guys out there in the 12-step programs. This is my poem here. I came to Santa Fe drinking every day. Now here I am on Canyon Road, a member of AA. I paint and paint, I carve and whittle, and when I count my take, it don't amount to diddle. I got a sack of days now, and that will make my rhyme, because all really get is one day at a time. Anyway, when I got here, I got involved with a guy named Santa Fe Dave, and he had a store down on Cerrillos, and it was a store that sold cowboy furniture cowboys didn't want anymore. It was called Not on the Plaza, or Outlaw Furniture. Anyway, I got to contributing things to put in the store, and became a partner in the thing. And one night I said to Dave, hey, what are you going to do tonight? He says, oh, I'm going to a meeting. I said, what kind of meeting are you going to? He says, well, it's a long pause, and he says, well, it's an AA meeting. And I said, well, what the hell are you doing that for, Dave? You don't have to go to AA. He says, well, I have blackouts sometimes. Well, I said, Dave, everybody has blackouts. And so Dave says, well, maybe you should come along to the meeting with me. And of course, that changed my life.
From the Ozark Hills down on Route 66, he finally got to leave the sticks. One more thing he thought he could. Picked up a knife and started carving wood, making wooden toys for little guys, and paying tribute to political lies.
So this is the jury, okay? The foreman that's just stood up. When he cranks, he's bringing in the verdict on George Bush. We don't need another president like him.
In case you don't know what has just been said, it's been the old-time ballad of Wonderful Ed. And if you too want a life of no remorse, be sure and sit on Ed's lucky horse. You all come back now here.
It's been a pleasure to meet you, Pat.
It's been a pleasure.
And we're going to get together again soon, I think.